Cut it out.
Son of a bitch, Bobby. You quit pushing me away like that.
Tubi just quietly added some of the best American cinema from the last 50 years to its catalog. Before streaming platforms dictated what stories got told, and every project needed franchise potential, studios greenlit films that trusted audiences to handle complex characters and uncomfortable truths. Jack Nicholson became a star playing Bobby Dupia in Five Easy Pieces, a gifted piano prodigy who abandoned his upper-class musical family to work California oil rigs. Bobby learns his father is dying, forcing him to drive his pregnant girlfriend back to the cold intellectual family estate he spent years escaping. Nicholson took the character's frustration and turned it into simmering hostility, most famously in the diner scene where he clears the table after a waitress refuses to serve him toast. The director pushed him to stop acting and start feeling, resulting in a breakdown that left the crew in stunned silence. Columbia Pictures hated the ending where Bobby abandons his girlfriend at a gas station and hitches a ride with a logging truck, convinced it was too bleak to make money. The film cost under $1 million and earned over $18 million back, which is exactly the kind of studio miscalculation that defined the new Hollywood era, where executives kept betting against the films that actually connected. By the time Nicholson made The Passenger 5 years later, that raw vulnerability had redefined how male leads could behave on screen.
Yeah, sweetheart, Elton and Stoney know that I love you, and they're just gonna think that I'm not too nice a guy, which I'm not.
Warren Beatty spent months training as a celebrity stylist for Shampoo to ensure he wouldn't look like an amateur cutting hair on screen. A charismatic hairdresser juggles multiple mistresses over a single day in Beverly Hills, set against the 1968 election as a metaphor for a society on the brink of collapse. Warren worked incognito in real salons to learn the physical choreography, then became a control freak on set, nitpicking the drape of capes while directing teenage Carrie Fisher in her scandalous debut. Fisher was only 17 and felt completely out of her depth, playing a cynical seductress who sleeps with a man twice her age. The film was released 6 months after Richard Nixon resigned, landing as direct commentary on political corruption disguised as bedroom farce. It grossed over $60 million by trusting audiences to connect the dots between a hairdresser's lies and a president's lies without spelling it out. The kind of sophisticated political allegory that studios now assume modern viewers need explained through exposition. Beatty became one of the most powerful actors in Hollywood by gambling that cynical satire could outperform safe comedies when cultural rage was looking for an outlet.
Are you really serious about the show?
You're serious about Western?
I asked you first.
Well, I'm never serious about anything.
Al Pacino scrapped the entire first day of filming on Dog Day afternoon because he felt his performance was hollow and went home to drink a half-gallon of wine until he realized his character was so disorganized he would have forgotten his glasses. A man tries to rob a bank to fund his partner's gender reassignment surgery, a heist that spirals into a media circus and tense hostage standoff through a sweltering Brooklyn afternoon. Pacino convinced the director to throw out all the footage and start over, which shifted the energy into something raw and manic. Weirdly enough, the production paid the real robber a $7,500 fee for the rights to his story, which he used to fund the actual surgery that had motivated the original crime. The director pushed Pacino to his breaking point during the phone call scene, refusing to stop cameras until the actor was so physically and mentally spent he began weeping genuinely. The film made over $50 million on a tiny budget, but the mental toll was so severe Pacino reportedly struggled to shake the character for months. It's the kind of method performance that critics now debate was brilliant or unethical.
Nobody move! Get over there!
Robert De Niro gained 60 pounds in 4 months to play the older version of boxer Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull, a transformation so extreme Martin Scorsese halted production because he feared the actor might have a stroke. Jake LaMotta's rise and fall, as a middleweight champion whose pathological jealousy and violent rage destroy his family and career, gave De Niro the canvas for one of cinema's most extreme transformations. De Niro ate his way through Italy and developed severe respiratory issues that made finishing the film genuinely dangerous. Scorsese was at the lowest point of his life and treated the movie as a suicidal artistic statement, fighting United Artists to shoot in black and white because he claimed color film stock would fade. The studio slashed the marketing budget in retaliation, which meant the film earned only $23 million and was considered a box office disappointment, at least initially. The boxing scenes were real sparring between De Niro and Joe Pesci, and you can actually hear a rib crack on camera after a body blow lands. United Artists wanted a traditional sports movie and instead got a character study about self-destruction that saved Scorsese's career and redefined the prestige biopic.
Why the fuck do we have to come to Cleveland for you to get beat by Molignard? Come on, Jack, do the fucking right thing here, will you?
Got you by the balls, Jake. You're outpointed.
Every frame of Kevin Costner's face was cut from The Big Chill, despite filming substantial flashback scenes as the friend whose suicide brings the group together. Former college radicals reunite for a weekend, hashing out old grievances and realizing how far they've drifted from their youthful idealism. The director realized the story was more resonant if the dead friend remained a mystery, so Costner's entire performance disappeared into the editing bay. To create authentic chemistry, the director made the cast stay together in a South Carolina estate for weeks, forcing them to cook and clean up after themselves like actual old friends. The film grossed $56 million thanks to its nostalgia-heavy soundtrack, but that success made record labels significantly hike licensing fees for old hits, which meant smaller films trying to replicate the same atmosphere suddenly couldn't afford the music, effectively killing an entire subgenre. Costner took the career hit and moved on to Silverado, which made cutting him look like the biggest mistake the director ever made.
Did I ever tell you what happened to me in Vietnam?
Mel Brooks personally called George Lucas before making Spaceballs because he knew a Star Wars parody could end his career in a lawsuit. The plot follows Dark Helmet, a bumbling villain trying to steal a planet's atmosphere, which gave Brooks the canvas to mock everything Lucas had built. Turns out Lucas agreed on one condition: Brooks could never sell merchandise. The director was so terrified of knockoff toys diluting the Star Wars brand that he made it legally binding. Brooks turned the restriction into the film's best joke. Filling scenes with Spaceballs, flamethrowers, and lunchboxes, his characters could pitch, but he could never actually sell. John Candy wore a 30-pound battery pack strapped to his back just to power the animatronic ears on his half-dog costume, working 14-hour days in a fur suit that trapped heat. Rick Moranis nearly collapsed during the desert shoot because his oversized helmet created an oven around his head, which is why Dark Helmet constantly complains about not being able to breathe. The production was miserable for both leads, but Brooks got exactly the physical comedy he wanted, by making his actors genuinely suffer.
You will never address me as you. You will call me Your Royal Highness!
Robert De Niro stayed in character so convincingly during Awakenings that visitors to the set mistook him for an actual catatonic patient instead of the lead actor, spending months filming survivors to mimic their specific tics and maintaining painful contorted positions for hours. A socially awkward neurologist uses experimental L-Dopa to awaken Leonard Lowe after 30 years frozen from the 1920s encephalitis epidemic, only to watch the miracle unravel as side effects drag everyone back into the sleep. During a restraint scene, De Niro's elbow accidentally fractured Robin Williams' nose, and Williams joked that De Niro knocked it back into place, an accident that broke the professional tension between the two stars. Columbia Pictures was gambling $29 million on a drama about catatonic patients, a subject executives were convinced would be too depressing for holiday audiences. The film made $108.7 million worldwide, which shocked the industry and turned director Penny Marshall into one of Hollywood's most bankable filmmakers, while launching writer Steven Zaillian toward his eventual Oscar for Schindler's List, effectively creating the prestige drama template studios would chase for 2 decades.
Dr. Sayer?
What is it?
It's a fucking miracle!
Gary Oldman famously despised performing his iconic villain Zorg in The Fifth Element, calling the experience spiritually draining despite doing it as a favor to director Luc Besson, who had helped finance Oldman's directorial debut. A retired Special Forces operative turned taxi driver has a genetically engineered woman crash through his cab roof, forcing him to protect the Fifth Element from this ruthless industrialist working for a great evil, threatening Earth in the 23rd century. The role of Ruby Road was originally written for Prince, and when designer Jean-Paul Gaultier showed him sketches featuring a backless outfit with a faux fur tail, Prince called it too effeminate and walked out without a word. Chris Tucker replaced him and earned a Razzie nomination that has since been reevaluated as a masterpiece of camp sci-fi performance. Luke's obsession with practical effects led to staging the largest indoor explosion ever filmed at Pinewood Studios, which spiraled out of control so violently it melted part of the soundstage and forced the crew to evacuate. The production shutdown added hundreds of thousands in repair costs, but the sheer scale of real fire gives the scene a weight that digital effects still can't replicate.
To make your flight as short as possible, our flight attendants are switching on the sleep regulator, which will regulate your sleep during your flight.
Franca Potente was a 2-pack-a-day smoker who had done zero athletic training but was forced to perform every sprint herself in heavy Dr. Martens boots for weeks because the low-budget production couldn't afford stunt doubles, and switching to sneakers ruined the audio sync. Lola has 20 minutes to sprint across Berlin and find 100,000 Deutsche Marks after her boyfriend accidentally leaves the money on a subway, with 3 different runs showing how minute variations lead to wildly different fates. The physical toll left her breathless and wide open emotionally, which the director used by capturing genuine exhaustion, and the screaming scenes where Lola shatters glass required such intense vocal pressure that she nearly blacked out on set. The film was edited to a strict tempo of 120 beats per minute, treating it like a feature-length techno music video. Against its $1.75 million budget, the film grossed over $23 million worldwide, effectively blacklisting the slow contemplative style of previous German cinema in favor of the high-energy Berlin school. This approach pioneered. Harold Ramis was originally set to direct Galaxy Quest but walked off when DreamWorks insisted on casting Tim Allen, stating he didn't think a sitcom star could carry the emotional weight, wanting a serious actor like Alec Baldwin playing comedy instead. Washed-up actors from a cancelled sci-fi show are mistaken for real commanders by aliens who believe the broadcasts were historical documentation, forcing the cast who can barely stand each other to save an entire race from genocide with no actual spacefaring skills. Alan Rickman found the catchphrase by Grabthar's hammer ghastly and embarrassing, but his delivery during the death of the Thermian character Quelek turned the previously comedic line into genuine heartbreaking gravitas that left the crew silent. After seeing the final film, Ramis reportedly sent a letter admitting he was wrong about Alan's performance. The film was originally shot as an R-rated comedy, but the studio forced a late edit for a PG rating. And if you watch Weaver's lips during the chomper sequence, it's blatantly obvious she's saying something much harsher than what you're hearing. The $45 million production made $90.7 million worldwide, and Patrick Stewart called it the best Star Trek movie ever made.
There is no quantum flux. There's no auxiliary. There's no goddamn shit.
If you're looking for performances that actually cost something to create, and stories that don't need sequels to justify their existence, Tubi just handed you 10 reasons to cancel your other subscriptions.